Puff and Ja Rule runs out the room. Puff got his towel, Ja grabbing his towel, but they butt the naked. And Puff like, yo, Gene, what happened? I said, he tried to get in the room. I told him he couldn't get in the room. Puff looked at Ja. He said, yo, Ja said, you didn't want to go in that room. There was a lot of freaking going on.
I love you, boy.
Yeah, man.
That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up.
Hey, yo, what the?
And, I mean, damn, pause, but like, just I mean,
It truly is about the Benjamin, as we see.
Oh, yes, he's literally.
It truly is about the Benjamin.
Plants?
Now, we come back
No, I don't know if guys have noticed this. Like, a lot of ladies drink water at parties. They just, you know, so if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
It's a little kinky, but...
Some people expose themselves without realizing it. Not through scandals, not through headlines, but through the things they casually say out loud. Sean Diddy Combs was one of the most powerful figures in music, but long before the lawsuits and investigations, there were moments that felt off. Moments people laughed at and then forgot. One of those moments happened live.
Love you too.
mine freshly dipped though. Mom do know how to have a good time. She ain't sitting in the house playing. They outside moving and shaking, baby. She come with me to strip club. I don't care. For real. It's my dog, you know, I want to live life. Be out here moving and grooving. So my mom told me, she just said, keep moving, baby.
That's right.
Keep moving.
Don't stop.
She could touch the floor with her palms, you know? Flat.
Watching it now, it doesn't feel harmless. It feels like the first crack in a pattern that kept repeating. Different people, different rooms, same behavior. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Before the fame, before the money, before anyone called him powerful, Sean Combs learned one lesson very early. Control meant survival. He was just 3 years old when his father was killed, a moment that erased stability from his life before he even understood what it was.
My father, he was killed when I was 3 years old. I don't have like a lot of memories of my father.
There was no time to process that loss. Life kept moving. His mother did what she thought was best, working nonstop, trying to build a better future. But that meant something else quietly disappeared. Supervision, guidance, limits. And when those things vanish early, someone else fills the gap. In Diddy's case, it was the street. He's admitted himself that chasing power started young, even if it lasted only a moment.
Drugs for like a day. And I got chased by helicopters, doors got kicked down. It probably like the unluckiest day for a drug dealer. I was willing to do anything to get to it.
That mindset never left. Risk didn't scare him, authority didn't stop him, and consequences felt negotiable. But the most important lesson came from a moment that sounds small, yet shaped everything that followed. A childhood fight, a demand to go back out, and a rule that stuck for life.
Me to the store to get us cigarettes all the time. This one time somebody, a kid came up to me and said if I didn't give him my money, he would beat me up. So I gave him my money. I came back home without the cigarettes. So my mother had told me if I didn't go back and get the money, I couldn't come home. And I left crying. I found a guy that told me he had to give me the money back. And then we had a fight and he kind of beat me up. But I told him like I couldn't go home. He beat me up all he wants. I couldn't go home unless I had got the money. Well, my mother, she was dead serious. I could have stayed out there for days. My mother was, I guess, raising me for the real world. She was always told me if somebody hit me, make sure I hit them back harder. Make sure they never hit me again. Make sure I fucked them up.
Hit back harder. Make sure it never happens again. That wasn't just parenting, it was conditioning. Because when a child learns that power comes from fear, that control prevents pain, and that mercy equals weakness, they don't grow out of it. They scale it up. And years later, when that same mindset meets fame, money, and influence, it doesn't disappear, it multiplies. By the early 90s, Sean Combs was desperate to be seen. Not just respected, not just successful, famous. And in 1991, he found a way to put his name at the center of attention, even if it meant cutting corners. He decided to host a celebrity basketball game in New York. Big names, big crowd, big moment. There was just one problem: almost no planning. The venue could safely hold only a few thousand people, but far more showed up. Lines spilled into stairwells, crowds pressed forward, security lost control, and within minutes, excitement turned to panic. People were crushed, others were trampled. 9 people lost their lives.
A lot of people here dead in the gymnasium, please.
Thousands more come. I'm talking about like, almost, I would say like it was like 10,000 people outside. And they were just crushing people down at the bottom of the stairs. Saying, you see people just laid out. Like I'm talking about kids completely limp, laid out. I started to become famous. It was through a tragedy. remember one time somebody said, like, you're a tragic hero. And I said, what does that mean? And they were like, in Shakespeare, he always has a tragic hero.
What's unsettling isn't just what happened, it's how he framed it. That tragedy didn't slow his rise, it accelerated it. His name was suddenly everywhere. The industry noticed him. Doors opened. Fame didn't arrive despite the chaos, it arrived through it. And from that moment on, a pattern quietly formed. When things got loud, when things got dangerous, and when control started slipping, attention followed, and so did power. Because once someone learns that disaster can still lead to success, they stop fearing disaster altogether. After that tragedy, something became very clear. When chaos followed him, consequences didn't. Reputation could be repaired, public memory could be managed, and if the story got uncomfortable, it could be rewritten. Over the years, Sean Combs became known by many names: Puffy, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Diddy, even Love.
You've changed your name to Love. I have become Love. Okay.
To fans, it looked like branding. To people on the inside, it looked like something else, a reset button.
I decided, I know it was risky because I knew it could come off as corny to some people. Like, yo, I decided to change my name again. I'm just not who I am before. I'm something different. So my new name is Love, AKA Brother Love. I will not be answering to Puffy, Diddy, Puff Daddy, or any of my other monikers, but Love or Brother Love, okay?
Every time controversy appeared, a new name followed, a new image, a fresh narrative. And according to people who worked closest to him, that wasn't a coincidence.
Being Diddy rich takes a guy that once name was Puffy, that after every tragedy he had in his life, he had to change his name. Puffy, Puff Daddy, Diddy, Brother Love, Love.
The image control didn't stop at names. His parties became legendary, not just for who showed up, but for how tightly information was controlled. Locations weren't shared publicly, details were temporary, invites vanished on their own.
Take me to your parties. You did? Yeah. You did. I remember I got an invite from you once. This is true. You used to have these crazy parties, and one invite was it self-destructed. It was you talking, and so you gave the information of where the party was, and then it said this message will self-destruct.
I'm very high contact.
That level of secrecy wasn't about exclusivity, it was about control. Because when evidence disappears, when memories fade, and when stories can't be verified, power stays exactly where it is. And by the time people started connecting the dots, the name had already changed again. For years, there were rumors that followed Diddy everywhere. Not the kind that made headlines, the kind people joked about, then quickly changed the subject. Things said half seriously, stories told off camera, moments framed as humor, so no one had to confront what they actually meant. Even Diddy leaned into it himself. He talked about certain relationships like they were funny memories, like nothing more than brotherhood, like everyone should just laugh along.
Pressure off the garden stage. You know what I'm saying? We on this OMG tour killing it, but had to come show support for Dirty Money. You know, we doing it big. I got my first 12 copies.
Yeah, he's the first one to get copied. I love you, boy.
Yeah, man.
That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up.
Hey, yo, what the?
And I mean, damn, pause, but like just how. I mean, back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the Frosted Flakes because he used to always get up early. Now he's one of the richest stars in the world.
Yo, what just say? Nobody's going to acknowledge this with me. Puff just said we used to wrestle over the Frosted Flakes, and we're streaming live. That was stupid. Listen, that was fucking stupid.
We're having a good time. Yo, Usher made it in the building, he ripped down the garden.
On the surface, it sounds harmless, just nostalgia, just jokes. But jokes have a way of doing something important. They test boundaries. And when no one pushes back, they quietly move those boundaries further. People close to Diddy noticed that too, including those whose job was to protect him. One of his former security guards didn't repeat the story as a joke at all. He said it with sarcasm, the kind that carries meaning.
You know, Puff is making jokes about how they used to wrestle for the Frosted Flakes in the morning.
Yeah, I bet they did. Somebody frosted somebody flakes without the milk.
That's the part that matters, because when the same stories circulate for years across studios, hotels, and tour stops, and the same names keep coming up, at some point it stops being gossip. It becomes an open secret, one that everyone hears about, but no one wants to be the first to say out loud. And this time, it wouldn't stay funny for long. For a long time, the stories stayed vague. No details, no names, just uncomfortable jokes that people pretended not to understand. But eventually, someone who was actually there decided to stop hinting. Gene Deal wasn't an outsider, he was Diddy's security. His job was to stand between the public and whatever happened behind closed doors. And according to him, one night crossed a line that couldn't be laughed off.
Somebody rang the doorbell. We had the presidential suite where we was at. So I opened the door. The dude said, yo, I'm here for my cousin. I said, who your cousin? And he said, Ja Rule. I said, well, he's busy right now. He said, he busy doing what? I said, he with Puff. They're in the room. They busy. They don't want to be bothered. He said, well, I'm going in there. He tried to bum rush me. I grabbed him and threw him against the piano. Puff and Ja Rule runs out the room. Puff got his towel, Ja grabbing his towel, but they butt the naked. And Puff said, yo, Gene, what happened? I said, he tried to get in the room. I told him he couldn't get in the room. Puff looked at Ja. He said, yo, Ja said, you ain't want to go in that room. There was a lot of freaking going on.
That moment matters for one reason. It removes deniability. This wasn't a rumor passed down through the industry. It was a first-hand account from someone whose job was to witness, not speculate. What made everything more disturbing wasn't just what happened between adults. It was how early this world started for some artists. In 2016, Usher casually revealed that when he was just 13 years old, he was sent to live in New York with Sean Combs, a grown man already deep inside the music industry. Not for a weekend, not for a visit, for a full year.
To New York City. And I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
At the time, it was framed as mentorship, a fast track to success, an opportunity most kids could only dream of. But think about the imbalance. A child, far from home, living inside the world of an adult celebrity. No parents, no real supervision, no clear boundaries. And Usher wasn't the only one. Over the years, multiple artists would later describe similar experiences, being pulled in young, isolated, and slowly normalized to behavior that shouldn't have felt normal. Some eventually spoke up, some filed lawsuits, others stayed silent. But the structure stayed the same. Young talent, total access, absolute control. By the time Justin Bieber entered the industry, the system was already in place. Young talent gets close, access feels exclusive, boundaries blur quietly. In 2009, when Justin was just 15 years old, Diddy appeared in a video announcing they were about to spend the next 48 hours together. The way he described it raised eyebrows even back then. What they'd be doing was secret, where they'd be going wasn't disclosed, and responsibility was vague.
So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose. But it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. You know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours.
At the time, it was framed as hype, a superstar welcoming a new kid into the industry. But when you place that moment next to Puffy Flavor Camp, the similarities are hard to ignore. Young artist, older gatekeeper, total access, no clear oversight. Years later, the tone shifted. Justin was no longer a teenager. He had his own fame, his own team. And when Diddy brought up how close they used to be, something felt different.
Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, you know, through all my, partners and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But you never really got my number, so.
Right. Okay.
Number?
Yeah. Everything's.
This time, there was no excitement, no nostalgia, just distance. And that distance says a lot, because when someone grows older and steps away from a situation they once couldn't control, it forces a question. Was that closeness ever really normal? Or did it only seem that way because no one was willing to challenge it? For years, everything stayed in the realm of stories, things people said quietly, moments people tried to forget, situations that were never written down. Until one day, they were. Because patterns only stay invisible until someone decides to document them. In 2022, a woman named Grace Omarkai was working as a bartender on a yacht connected to Diddy. At first, it felt like just another high-profile job. Music, drinks, a party atmosphere. But as the night went on, something changed. She later claimed she began to feel disoriented, sick in a way that didn't make sense. And then, according to her lawsuit, she found herself alone in a room with Diddy's son, Christian Combs.
Audio that CNN has listened to, you can specifically hear the accuser who alleges that she was being forced to take this tequila shot that she believed was laced with drugs. And in the audio, you can hear her asking Christian Combs if she was being drugged, and he answers, "Take the shot."
She eventually escaped, but she didn't forget. In April 2024, Grace formally filed a lawsuit accusing Christian Combs of assault, drugging, and emotional distress. And this time, there was a witness. music producer Little Rod Jones, someone who claimed he was in the room and had recordings of what happened. Suddenly, this wasn't just about behavior, it was about documentation. And what made it even harder to ignore was the familiarity of it all. Same environment, same imbalance of power, same protection around the accused. Only now, the silence was broken. And once that happens, there's no putting the pattern back in the shadows. What's strange about powerful figures isn't just what people say about them, it's how people act around them. Back in 1998, during an interview, there's a brief interaction between Mike Tyson and Diddy that lasts only seconds, but it's the kind of moment you don't forget once you notice it.
Benjamin, as we see. Oh, yes, he's glittering. He's killing you. Yeah. Well, now, when we come back, we're going to...
Nothing is said out loud, no accusation, no confrontation, just instinct. And instinct usually kicks in for a reason. A few years later, the warnings weren't even subtle anymore. During a live TV moment in 2000, Rosie O'Donnell made a comment about Diddy that stunned the room and then quickly moved on like it was a joke.
A lot of multiple nominees, multiple Grammy nominees this year. Lauryn Hill's got 4, TLC's got 8, and Sean Combs 5 to 10. Like he's going to jail? Right. All right, I don't need to be mean because, I mean, he's a nice guy and he can really sing.
People laughed, the moment passed, but comments like that don't come from nowhere. They come from things people hear, things people see, things people are too careful to fully explain. And then, years later, the tone changed completely. In 2023, comedian Cat Williams said something that didn't sound like comedy at all. It sounded like a prediction.
It's God's side and the other side. And we don't care nothing about the other side. Period. All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
At the time, most people shrugged it off. But when you line up all these moments across decades, a pattern emerges. Different people, different eras, same unease. Behind the fame, the parties, and the jokes, there was another side of the industry that people rarely talked about: competition. In the mid-1990s, hip-hop wasn't just music, it was power, and no one embodied that power shift more than Tupac Shakur. Tupac rose fast, too fast. He sold millions in months, dominated the charts, and openly compared himself to artists backed by major labels and industry machines.
I sold 5 million in 2 months. Biggie out been out 2 years. He's barely touching 2 million. He got everybody in New York in his videos and still barely touching 2 million. I've been out 2 months. My shit sold 5 million with 2 videos out. I'm just starting.
What made Tupac dangerous wasn't just his success. It was his mouth. He spoke freely. He challenged people publicly. And he didn't hide his feelings about who was really running things behind the scenes. Even when asked directly about crossing paths with rivals, Tupac framed it as business, not fear. But tension like that doesn't stay theoretical for long. On September 7th, 1996, after leaving a boxing match in Las Vegas, Tupac was shot multiple times while sitting in a car.
An actor, Tupac Shakur, is dead at the age of 25, just about a week after sustaining 4 bullet wounds last Saturday night in Las Vegas. Shakur spent the weekend in the hospital on a respirator in critical condition.
No one was arrested at the time, and that silence created a vacuum, one filled with theories, rumors, and accusations that refused to die. For years, people speculated that jealousy and power struggles had crossed a line, that the rivalry wasn't just lyrical, that money and influence might have played a role behind the scenes. Whether proven or not, one thing became clear. Hip-hop's biggest stars weren't just battling on records. They were surrounded by violence. And Tupac wouldn't be the last name connected to it. After Tupac's death, the spotlight shifted. Suddenly, there was only one king left standing, the notorious B.I.G. Biggie wasn't just a star, he was Diddy's star, signed to Bad Boy, protected, promoted, and for a long time, they were inseparable. Too inseparable.
I look at him like, I say Jesus.
And next question is...
But relationships like that don't last forever. As Biggie's success grew, so did his independence. And eventually, he made it clear he wanted out of Bad Boy, out of the control, out of the shadow. According to people close to the situation, Diddy didn't take that well, because if there was one thing he couldn't tolerate, it was losing control. Despite everything that had just happened to Tupac, Biggie was convinced to travel to California to finish recording his album. A risky move, a strange decision, and one that, in hindsight, raised serious questions. Not long after that alleged conversation, Biggie's car was actually set on fire. Biggie was shot and killed in Los Angeles.
Loved in the neighborhood. His funeral was a massive event. When someone put on Hypnotize, the whole place erupted.
Once again, no immediate arrests. Once again, unanswered questions. And once again, people started asking why. Why send him there? Why at that moment? Why after everything that had already happened? Diddy's former security guard, Gene Deal, didn't hesitate to share his opinion.
Why the hell would you rent studio time in LA for him to finish your album when in fact you got your own studio, Daddy's house? Let's keep it a buck. Let's stop this bullshit, man. Puff ain't want none of that beef. So what I'm gonna do is, y'all want the sheep? I'm gonna put him out the pasture.
Whether people believe that claim or not, the pattern is impossible to ignore. Tupac gone, Biggie, Dawn, two legends, two unsolved murders, one powerful figure standing at the center of it all. And if the violence was supposed to end there, it didn't, not even close. For a long time, people tried to contain everything to one era. Different time, different culture, different rules. The 90s were violent, the industry was wild. Things were different back then. But that explanation falls apart when the same type of story appears decades later. In 2012, Diddy was in a relationship with Cassie. Behind the scenes, things were already volatile. And when rumors surfaced that Cassie was communicating with Kid Cudi, jealousy allegedly escalated fast. According to former bodyguard Roger Bonds, Diddy didn't just get angry. He allegedly made a threat, a serious one. Bonds later claimed he was told that Diddy wanted Kid Cudi's car destroyed and wanted him present when it happened.
Mr. Combs told Miss Ventura that he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car and that he wanted to ensure that Kid Cudi was home with his friends when it happened.
I heard about that. I definitely heard about that. And I found it quite funny that the car actually did get blown up. So I would say that was accurate.
Not long after that alleged conversation, Kid Cudi's car was actually set on fire. Luckily, he wasn't inside. No one died, but the implication was chilling. This wasn't about lyrics, this wasn't about image, it was about punishment. And more importantly, it showed something critical. The violence didn't belong to a decade, it followed the person. Years passed, money grew, power expanded, but the reaction to losing control stayed exactly the same. And by the time the public started paying attention again, there was already far more happening behind the scenes. Up to this point, everything had come from the outside. For years, Diddy spoke openly about his parties, about excess, about control, and most people treated it like entertainment, exaggeration for laughs, until one comment resurfaced that felt very different in context. While talking about relationships and keeping people around, Diddy made a statement that raised eyebrows even at the time.
No, I don't know if guys have noticed this, like a lot of ladies drink water at parties. They just, you know, so if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave. Gotta keep them there. You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
It's a little kinky, but
yeah.
On its own, it sounds like edgy humor, a joke taken a little too far. But when you place it next to everything else, the secrecy, the guarded doors, the witnesses, the lawsuits, it stops sounding playful, it starts sounding revealing, because language matters. People don't randomly joke about locks, or keeping people from leaving, or control framed as necessity. Those ideas come from somewhere, and once again, the pattern shows up. When you step back and look at the pattern, the control, the secrecy, the repeated accusations, it becomes clear this wasn't one incident, it was a system, and systems built on silence don't last forever. They collapse the moment people start paying attention. The signs were always there. Now there's no unseeing them.